Hello and welcome to today's episode of 3D Drawing for your Model Railway. In today's episode we're going to look to draw the window frame inside the brick arch window that we drew last lesson. We're going to be using the circular pattern and the combine tools to create that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is turn this sketch around so we're looking at the back face. I'm going to hide the body of the wall so that we just got the archway. I'm using the little I button up here to hide that. Okay, so we're going to draw a sketch on the back of this archway. And what I'm going to draw is a line that goes across where the top of the side walls are. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is get a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to find the midpoint and we're going to draw a 2-point rectangle. Doesn't matter about the length as long as it stays within the archway for the moment, and it's going to be 0.2 high. Okay, the length wise, I'm just going to define mine as 2. As I can see, it still stays within the archway at that position there. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude that. So right click, extrude, and I'm going to extrude that into the archway by, let's go minus 0.5, and I'm going to use the new body tool again so that I can pattern this. If I was to just do a join, then it wouldn't try and pattern the whole object, including the archway as it rotates. So we're using that new body, click on OK. And the next thing I need to do is create an axis point where I'm going to rotate this rectangle around when I do my circular pattern. So I'm going to create a sketch again. I'm going to create it on this face here. I'm going to rotate and drag my image around so I can actually see the face. It always tries to rotate so it's 90 degrees to the image you're drawing, but sometimes it gets covered and you need to rotate it to be able to see again. So I'm going to get my line tool again. I'm going to find the midpoint on the side here and I'm going to draw a line across. And this again, I'm going to turn that into a construction line. Selecting the line, clicking on construction, and now you can see that's turned to a dashed line. Okay, so I'm going to finish that sketch, and then I'm going to go into create at the top here, come down to circular pattern. It's very similar to what we were doing last lesson with a rectangular and pattern on path, but this time I'm going to rotate this rectangle around that construction line. So the object that we're after is going to be this body here, so I'm going to select that. The axis, I'm going to rotate around that construction line there, so I'm selecting that. I'm going to then turn to the back so you can see it nice and clearly. I'm going to change the angle to 180. Now you can see it's rotating the other way, so I'm going to go change that 180 to minus 180. You can see that flicks the one that was appearing at the bottom to the top where I want it. I'm also going to adjust the number of frames that I'm going to have. I'm going to have 5 in there. Okay, I'm going to click on OK, and you can see now as I scroll out, I've now got, if I turn this around, you can look at it, I've now got 5 in there. Okay, so that's looking good. Next thing I'm going to do is draw some frames in here. Okay, nice and simple. I'm going to rotate that back round to the back, and going to create a sketch again using that back face. And I'm going to do a rectangle across from the bottom corner, center point, 2-point rectangle again. Again, I'm using a frame thickness of 0.2, and I can see that I'm going to want my distance to be 3.8 going across the frame. Okay. So next thing I want to do is I'm going to extrude that to the same distance. So I'm going to do extrude same distance as the top frames. So just turn it around, clicking on the front now, and I know it's automatically going to extrude to 0.5 and stay at that height. So if I adjust these top ones, this bottom one will adjust with it. Okay, so creating new body. Okay, and now I'm going to do a pattern to bring that pattern all the way to the top. So I'm going to, I don't want to press that. I'm going to go create, and I'm going to go pattern, rectangular pattern, changing my type to features, selecting this bottom rectangle. Direction I want to draw in is upwards, and I'm going to drag this up. Okay, I'm going to go for 3. I think that looks a nice, reasonable distance. 3 of them at 4mm apart, and then I'm going to click on OK. Okay, you can see now that as I'm drawing each of these elements, the number of bodies is increasing down this side. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to draw is a rectangle that goes all the way up the centre. So again, create sketch. I'm going to use the bottom one here, and I'm going to do a rectangle, and I'm going to drag from bottom to the top. Okay, and then what I'm going to ask it to do is use that coincidence tool we used in last lesson to snap to that line, and also to snap in. And I'm also going to drag and change the position so that it's the same centered. Okay, so we know that the length of that rectangle there is 1.9mm from there to there. So I'm going to define my distance. From that edge to that edge as 1.8mm, and from that edge to that edge as 1.8mm. So I've got my 0.2mm going all the way up the middle there. I'm going to select it with the right mouse button, extrude, spinning it round again and extruding it to the same distance as that one, changing the operation from cut to join. Okay, and now you see some of those bodies have disappeared because they've automatically combined themselves into one. Okay, what hasn't combined though is the archway and the 3 center frames at the top here. So we're going to combine the archway and all of those frames into one now. I'm also going to combine it into my brick wall. So to do that, I'm going to come up the top here. There's a button called Combine. I'm going to select that. The target body I want to be the brick wall. And then the tool bodies I'm going to select using Control each of the bodies that I want to join into one. And then the operation is going to be join. Click on OK. And that is all now. Don't worry about that. I'm going to just click on backwards and forwards. It's just a bit of the software getting a bit messy there. It's made a little bit of a mess as I try to draw it. It's worked perfectly fine. It's just sometimes there's a glitch in the software where it draws that. Okay, as you can see, all I did was come down here, go backwards 1, forwards 1, and then it redrew it perfectly fine. No issues there at all. So now I've got one body again. It's all back as one. Okay, so now we've got the brick, the framework within our archway. You can change the height if you wanted to move it forward slightly. So you just select extrude, and then you can pull that further forwards if you wanted. That's going to then give you a really deep fixed frame there. But then if you come around to the back, you would find it difficult to extrude the back if you wanted to. So what you'd have to do is create sketch, draw on the back, and then you'd have to draw lines to separate all of the frames from the brick wall. And once you've done that one's not drawn properly, just undo and then line again. Okay, and now as you can see, as I hover over it, that frame's now separate from the brick wall. I can then finish the sketch, right click, extrude, and then cut that frame a little bit into the archway. So you've now got a thinner archway. You could then put glazing behind if you wanted to. Hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.